Little God of War theory for God of War Ragnarok. We see the clip where Atreus is like, why don't you stop thinking like a father and start thinking like a general? And Kratos turns around and says, no, really loud and really angry. I'm not sure if this is going to happen, but I think Atreus, they're going to have some sort of disagreement. I mean, we see them disagreeing throughout the trailer about different things such as that, and even fighting the gods and how maybe war is the way. And Kratos obviously knows that this is not the way because he's been through this before through God of War 1 through 3. And I think that Atreus and Kratos are going to butt heads through this game quite a bit. And I also think that Atreus is going to try to bring out his father's rage. I think he's going to try to really, get him on the edge and kind of push Kratos to be the old self that he was in God of War 1 through 3. I really think that that's what Kratos is going to try to do. And I mean, we know that he's Loki and he is the god of mischief, but he's also Atreus. And I think those two, not necessarily personalities, but those two natures are going to kind of come together and collide in this game more than they were before. And I think that things are going to go into motion, and we might see a Kratos that does just let loose at one given point in time. I'm not saying that Kratos and Atreus will fight because I don't think that's going to happen, just because I feel like Kratos will definitely win that fight, and that's also his own son. But I feel like they're going to have a disagreement and possibly even part ways for a bit in the game. And kind of when they come back together, they're going to both be a little bit changed and different. I'm specifically looking at Atreus in this scenario because I think when he comes back, he's going to be more of maybe a Loki because he spent time away from his father and kind of had time to grow into someone that he wants to be. And he's not having his father, Kratos, kind of standing over him and sheltering him from his emotions and not guiding him. So Atreus is going to have time to develop himself and his own thoughts and develop his own opinion based on what he wants to be and what he wants to do. And I think we're going to kind of see this take place, and we're possibly going to see Atreus veer off of the path that Kratos has been trying to put him down, the path of being much more wiser, because I've been told many times that you have to go through things yourself and hardships yourself. Even if you have people who are older than you tell you that this is going to be the outcome, sometimes you're stubborn and you just don't listen. And I feel like Atreus is going to go through this and he's going to realize that, because honestly, that might be what happens in this game. Is just Atreus, he has to go through these things alone for a period of the game. Not the whole game, but a period of it, to where he has to really grow on his own and form his own opinion. And that might just be what has to happen, because who knows? I mean, we know that Ragnarok is probably going to come. We know that, they go to find Tyr together, but what happens after that? We see them colliding. We see them disagreeing. We see them butting heads in this trailer. So I really think they're setting this up to be just a crazy wild ride. Like the first game we had, it was pretty grounded in the experience of how Kratos was being tough on Atreus because, and Atreus was more compliant because he was younger. But I feel like now that he's starting to get older, he's going to start to have his own opinion and probably start to veer off from what Kratos tells him throughout, the 4 or 5 years that we don't see them. You see how they're not in exile, but just living in the wilderness again after they've completed the journey of spreading Faye's ashes on the highest peak. And we don't know what's happened in that time frame, but we do see that Atreus is older and Kratos is older as well. So there has to be a lot of thought that's going through Atreus' head. And I feel like the Loki, not version of himself, but the Loki personality The fact that he is somebody else as well at the same time of being Atreus is going to pop through a lot more. They didn't just show that off for no reason he was Loki, because we know that he is the god of mischief. So I feel like he might take on a more mischievous role in this game, and he might want to exploit Kratos' rage to kind of benefit what he wants to happen, and to kind of maybe turn the tides of Ragnarok. I mean, we're looking at Atreus, who's grown up in Norse mythology. He's grown up in that land, and maybe he doesn't want to see it destroyed, and maybe he thinks that war is the only way to save it, to maybe kill the gods that set it into motion in the prophecy. Maybe that's the way he's thinking. And I firmly believe that there will be a disagreement between these two in this game, more so than what we've already saw, and it's really going to just turn the tide of the entire game. We've already seen in the first game where Atreus is sick and Kratos has to leave him behind and kind of deal with this thing on his own. And I feel like they might do this again, just in the sense that he's still okay. He's just maybe consumed by his rage with his father, that, maybe, he's not... Atreus is seeing his father because he doesn't really know his father from before. We do. We know what he was like before. We know how far he's come. Atreus might not realize that. He might think his father's being stubborn for not wanting to do what he wants to do, what Atreus wants to do. He feels like his father's being stubborn, and he's not changing from his old ways. But these aren't his old ways. These are his new ways that we see in the new God of War franchise in the Norse world. We see him much wiser, much older, much more kind of wise and held down to the point where he knows that he has to be a rock, and he has to control himself. But Atreus thinks he shouldn't. Atreus thinks that he should go all out, and they're really going to butt heads in this game. I firmly believe that. I feel like Odin might play a part in this. He might come to Atreus and kind of manipulate him into thinking that he needs to convince his father to do this war. Maybe there's something that Odin wants from Atreus. Maybe he thinks that maybe Atreus can kill Kratos, because I don't think necessarily that Kratos would suspect that. I think it would possibly catch him off guard if his own son shoved a dagger into his chest or shot him with an arrow in the chest or something. I think it would just be crazy. And I don't think Kratos would see it coming, because they've spent so much time together. And I don't think he's ever been betrayed like that before from his own family members. I just don't think so. I think that this game is going to be a wild ride. I think a lot of stuff is going to happen in it that we're just not going to see coming. And I'm really hyped up for this game. I think it's going to run a lot deeper than the previous game, and kind of really go back to the original trilogy and also the spin-offs, and kind of just really bring out the past. I think it's really going to resurface. I'm really excited to see what they do, and I can't wait for the ride. I really can't wait to play through this game and see if my predictions have come true. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments. I want a discussion to get going. Like, comment, subscribe. Just talk in the comments. Discuss it. Talk about some of your theories. This needs to be... Talk about what you'd like to see in the game or what you think could happen. This has to be a discussion. I'm not necessarily saying I'm 100% right. I do think that some of the things I said could happen in the game, or are very likely to happen in the game. But I'm not, nothing is 100%. I am genuinely curious to see how they play on this dynamic of Atreus and Kratos kind of going at it back and forth, because I think it is going to happen more than what we've seen in the trailer. Them disagreeing, and Kratos, having his past self be there and kind of shutting that out. I think Atreus doesn't understand fully what that entails, of what Kratos is truly capable of. But if he were to see that, I think it would really scare him because he doesn't really know 100% who Kratos is, because he doesn't want his son to know these things, because Kratos knows that his son would probably see him as a monster. So again, please like and subscribe, comment down below, let's have a discussion. Hope you guys have an amazing day. Thank you so much for checking out the video.